Hi, and welcome to the second video in the income maintenance module. This video is going to be looking at receiving income assistance and some of the common issues that might come up for a client who's receiving Ontario Works or ODSP. In this video, we'll cover some of the responsibilities that your client will have if they're receiving income assistance, including things like reporting life changes and what to do if they make or receive any extra money. We'll also take a look at overpayments and when they might happen. We'll finish up by taking a look at the ways that the amount of money your client receives might change, including through things like reductions, suspensions, or cancellations. Let's start by taking a look at some of the responsibilities that come with receiving income assistance. Both Ontario Works and ODSP require their recipients and the adult members of their family to meet certain requirements in order to continue receiving assistance. But when these requirements aren't met, that person's support might be reduced, suspended, or cancelled. Some responsibilities that both Ontario Works and ODSP recipients have include things like reporting if they have a change in circumstances, reporting if they make or get any additional money, looking for other financial resources like CPP or EI, and keeping receipts or expense statements in case the program might want to verify them. Anyone who receives Ontario Works also has to make efforts to find and get a job. Now let's cover a few of these responsibilities in a bit more detail. One of the most important responsibilities your client should keep in mind is that they have to report changes in circumstances to their caseworker. If they don't, they might miss out on additional funding that might be available to them, but they also might be forced to pay back money to the program, or they might have their benefits suspended or canceled. Some changes your client needs to report include things like if they're taken into custody or if they're released from custody, if they're hospitalized, or if they move. They also need to report things like if they separate from their partner, if their housing costs change, or if they have a child. If you're speaking with a client who receives Ontario Works or ODSP, and they tell you about any of these changes or other similar significant life changes, it's a good idea to remind them to update their caseworker to avoid any issues with their income support. Another important responsibility to keep in mind is that your client has to report if they make or receive any extra money other than what they get from Ontario Works or ODSP. This can include things like making money from a job, from selling something that they own, from getting an inheritance, from getting other government benefits like CPP or EI, or from getting spousal or child support payments. If your client gets this kind of extra money, their support payments might change because of it, but it depends on where the money came from. If the extra money came from working, they can earn up to $200 a month from a job before their income assistance will be affected. But half of everything they earn beyond that $200 will be deducted from their income support. If the extra money is from child support, that money won't be deducted from their income assistance, but spousal support payments will be. Other money earned from things like selling something, from an inheritance, or from a different government benefit will also be deducted from their support payments. A great way you can help your client is to warn them that they might see these kinds of changes to their support payments if they make or receive any extra money. This can help them prepare ahead of time and give them a chance to find extra funding if they might need it. Another thing you can do is help your client get legal advice if they want to dispute any changes to their payments, or if they disagree with the decision made about the amount of assistance they receive. You can also help your client watch out for things like overpayments. Overpayments happen when Ontario Works or ODSP gives someone more money than what they were eligible to receive. When this happens, that person needs to pay back those extra amounts, even if they aren't still receiving income assistance from the program anymore. If they are still receiving assistance, they might see reductions to the amount of support they receive. But if they've stopped receiving assistance, they might be asked to pay the program back directly. Overpayments can be caused by lots of different things, like a stay in custody, a misrepresentation of circumstances, an unreported life change, or an administrative error. This is another example of a decision your client can dispute if they disagree with it. If their assistance is reduced because of an overpayment and they don't agree with the reason why, you should refer them for legal advice. And make sure they bring a copy of the notice of decision they should have received with them. Overpayments are one of the main reasons your client might see a reduction in their income assistance. The other main reason they might see a reduction is because of a change in circumstance. If your client's circumstances have changed and they report that change to the worker, they might see a change in the amount of support they receive. Sometimes this means they'll get more money from the program, for example, if they have a new child. But sometimes it can mean the amount of money they get will be reduced. This can be because of things like being incarcerated, moving to a new apartment or house, getting paid from a job, or from being admitted to a hospital, specialized care center, or substance abuse program. But reductions aren't the only way that your client can lose income assistance. They could also have their support payments suspended or canceled in some cases. This can happen if they don't meet the program's requirements. This can include things like missing a medical review date, spending time in custody, not making efforts to find a job, not providing their caseworker with information or documents if they're asked for them, or living with someone that their caseworker doesn't know about, like a partner or a roommate. If your client's single and not supporting a family on their payments, they'll likely see their assistance canceled if they aren't meeting these kinds of requirements. If they are supporting a family, their payments might get suspended or reduced, but they shouldn't be canceled. If your client has experienced a reduction, suspension, or cancellation of their income assistance and they don't know why, you can help them contact their caseworker to find out the reason for the change and see if there's any additional information or steps they can take to meet the program requirements. If they want to dispute the decision after they speak to their caseworker, you should refer them for legal advice as soon as possible to avoid missing any deadlines to have the decision reviewed. If they've had their payments canceled and they want to reapply, they might be able to go through an expedited process depending on the last time they received income support. Sometimes support payments can be reinstated without having to reapply if your client has only been off the assistance for a short time. In other cases, they might be able to reuse a previous application, or they might have to submit a whole new application. If your client's reapplying for ODSP specifically, they might be asked to reapply with a whole new application, but their previous determination of disability can still be valid. And just like that, we've covered the common issues with receiving income assistance. Until next time.